All right. Once again, good afternoon to those of you on the East Coast. Good morning to those of you on the West Coast. I'm your host, Brandon Choi, host and co-creator of Movies and Shakers Unlimited, and I'm also joined by...
What's up?
Go ahead.
Jerome in the home.
All right, yes. JB, Jerome Bourgeois, fellow co-creator of Movies and Shakers Unlimited. And just as we did last week, we're going to be doing This Week in Review. There were quite a few things that went down this week. So much so, we weren't able to cover all of it. So mind you, if we don't cover some of it this week, if we have any updates on certain things that were covered over this week that continue as stories going into next week, we will be sure to have it on the show. Or feel free to also drop a line in the comments of certain things that you guys are curious about or getting clarification on, things like that. But without further ado, first off, Jerome, how has your week been, man? How you doing? It's been a week. A lot has happened, as I said, in the past week. How are things going?
Everything's good, I mean, I'm still working on this project. I mean, I'll let you guys know later when it's done. But yeah, we had Super Bowl Sunday. That's something we're gonna talk about later. But yeah, enjoyed that. Seeing with Thanos Brady take home another ring. But yeah, same old Groundhog Day every day, making the most of it. Next thing you know, they're gonna remake Groundhog Day probably again. We're talking about remakes today, so hey.
But yeah, man. Good. Awesome. So yeah, just as you said, as a matter of fact, we're going to talk about it at the top of the show. How about that? We're going to talk about these Superbowl spots that featured during the Super Bowl. They were far fewer than we would normally have during the Super Bowl, because normally we're inundated. For those of you that are familiar with various spots for upcoming major blockbusters, but with everything kind of being in flux right now, it's understandable that we only had a couple that featured. I'm not going to get into every single one, but I definitely want to touch on the ones that really stood out for me. The ones that I want to touch on, and I know Jerome, you had a chance to see all pretty much most of these, is essentially Old, that new M. Night Shyamalan movie. Falcon and Winter Soldier, of course. We had Fast and Furious. It was a really quick blip, really quick spot, but we had that. And then we also had another film that, a lot of people is creating, some buzz, even though it is borrowing elements from, a franchise that we know and love, that film known as Nobody. It's very John Wickish in terms of its setup and that idea of the old gunslinger, coming back and wreaking havoc. So I'm very intrigued based on the ensemble that they had with that film. But let's just hop into each of these. So first and foremost, I'll pass it over to you, Jerome. Like, what out of those films mentioned, which were a couple of films for you that stood out in terms of what they showed?
I'm gonna be honest, like this year, like I said, I think just because I think also just the idea of the Super Bowl spot premiering a movie it's kind of lost its value just because now you have the internet, so you don't really see, you're not really getting new stuff. I mean, probably in any other year we probably would get a lot more just because we know, the studios know people are going to the movie theaters. But now since it's still up in the air and everything's getting pushed back, and even with that Fast 9 trailer, it's like, they haven't blinked yet, but I'm sure they're gonna push back the release date. So I don't know. When I watched it, I was like, okay, yeah, they're just showing a little more. To me, it's just like, it didn't seem like it was that much they're adding to it. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I thought that was interesting because they just showed a little bit. I mean, it was kind of interesting. They were just trying to tease it. You could tell they're probably just trying to save some money, buy the least amount of space possible, tease it, and they're like, go online and watch it. And I watched the full trailer online. I was like, yeah, man, shoot, you see a little bit of Baron Zemo, with the mask or whatever, or they're hinting at that, it looks like it's going to be a really good buddy action series. And obviously there's lots of homages to what Captain America's lines. You can tell they're making fun of all the stuff that happened in some of the previous movies. He's like, what's the plan of attack? Or he's about to jump out. and he just flies, what is it called? So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. I mean, it's not a movie, TV series, but whatever. I still consider that in the same realm because Disney Plus is making quality shows. I don't really, I must have missed Nobody, so I didn't really get into that. But I do like Bob Odenkirk, so I mean, I'll have to check that out. I was surprised about the Night Shyamalan one because I was like, I didn't know. I wasn't hip to any of his like new projects, but I was intrigued to see how it says coming to theaters soon or something like that. So I guess it must be a low enough budget movie where they can do that first, but it's probably going to be some sort of mix of streaming or I don't know, release schedule. But yeah, it looks, he seems to be having a comeback with his movies, and I like Glass, I like Split, so yeah, I'll probably check it out. But what else was there? Those were like the main ones. I'll just tell you, like for commercials in general, there was one that I liked. It wasn't a movie spot. It was that one, the Bud Light one. I thought that was good with the whole lemons falling down. And they're like,
yeah.
To me, that was my favorite one. Had nothing to do with movies or anything, but I was like, oh, this is kind of creative. I was like, okay, cool. Everyone's getting lemons and knocking them down, and then they turn into lemonade. They're like I was like, okay, kind of corny, but it gave me, I got a good laugh out of that. But yeah, I don't know. I wasn't super excited about all the spots this year, but I am excited about Falcon and Winter Soldier. So
I was gonna say in general, with some of the projects that we saw, as I said, in dropping those 4 particular projects, I guess with old, for those of you that are, that know me well, that I love horror films. So like I love ones that deal with a mysterious angle in terms of you trying to figure out what's at play or what's happening, and not being, spoon fed being told everything up front and you having to kind of, figure out the mystery. I do enjoy those types of thrillers or horror films, whatever you want to call them. So just that idea of something being at play that's aging people, and some of the sequences that they show, in this spot of person who like just out of within a couple of moments is now like 10 or 15 years older than when a parent, first saw their kid, or another sequence where, someone is starts off at one age and then as another age is now, having a kid of their own. Like it's pretty like surreal, some of the imagery that they have in that project. And then even with Fast and Furious, it's hard to believe that we're at 9 now, and
they're doing 2 more.
I know.
And spin-off, more spin-offs. So
it's just crazy that now we're at I never thought, in seeing the first Fast and Furious, it's like, oh, they're gonna make 8 more of these. Like in no thought in my mind did I think that was gonna happen. But the thing is, like with each installment, is just there's just I feel like there's kind of like a meta angle to it, where it's just fun just to see how ridiculous it's going to get. Because I mean, I don't know if you remember in that spot, like they had a magnet or something that was taking the car.
Was kind of interesting. That was kind of interesting. I was like okay.
What is going on? Like, what? More power to you if you're able to find out, figure out all these creative ways to keep, viewers' interest. More power to you. You've kept me interested, in this franchise with all the, crazy sequences that you have, that the franchise has developed, over the years. So we shall see. But definitely, out of all of those films that they showed, I would definitely say that Falcon and Winter Soldier is, at the top of my list. I'm just interested, based on what we have at play in WandaVision, and I'm not going to go into specifics because I am caught up, and I'm sure many of you that are watching this now are not caught up. Considering what that show entails, of it having its main plot point, and then all the other Easter eggs that it's laying in place, just as you would have in any given, MCU project. I'm excited to see what that may entail for Falcon and Winter Soldier, because I mean, let's be honest, you have just like you did in Winter Soldier, you have all these other elements in play. In this project, we have another guy who's taking on that mantle, and they tease it here and there in a lot of the promo material. But for those of you that are eagle-eyed comic aficionados, you know that there is another guy that's there that takes on the mantle, for better or for worse, that kind of provides an interesting perspective on just the whole idea of Captain America. So like in me talking about this other individual is basically someone that the government provides that mantle to, and not necessarily someone who rises from the ashes and does it themselves. So I'm interested to see what that would entail, because if it goes the way that I'm picturing it would go, it also opens the door to the Super Soldier program and reopening those doors to other characters that might may be birthed from that, or may come as a result of that. So all types of characters come to mind, whether it's Red Hulk, right? Red Hulk, or even like other characters like even Wolverine. Even like Wolverine. So like I'm just super excited to see what might come out of it.
With that, but
we'll see for sure. All right, so switching gears for a second. Earlier this week, they did have a story that was making the rounds that dealt with one of our action icons, Mr. Reeves, Keanu Reeves. He apparently was approached to take on the role of Kraven the Hunter, which is a popular figure, a popular villain within Spider-Man's gallery of villains, of supervillains. However, just as of recently, apparently, and I'll put up the picture here. Apparently, there is news that I guess a couple of months ago via insider, and I'm pull up his info, because apparently he's an insider who has provided tons of news for spoilers about certain information that have come out about a lot of these projects. He goes by the name, and let me pull him up now. Goes by the name Skylar Schuler. Apparently, because of his track record and what he's been able to reveal in the past, he a lot of people are taking his word for it that with this particular character, apparently Keanu turned it down a couple of months ago for this role, and it's not a role that he's no longer in the running for. With all that being said, Jerome, what are your thoughts on this story? Because for me, myself, I'll take it with a grain of salt. I know a lot of times, as I said, a lot of stories make the rounds, but in doing the, checking on where the sources were and me, myself, doing, further research on not just where the information is coming from via the various outlets, but with the insider as well. I take it with a grain of salt, but it's not unheard of for us to get news further down the line.
I mean, it's like I said, I'm sure there's some truth to it. I mean, whatever. We obviously can't confirm or not, but it makes sense. Like what Sony is already doing, trying to have these separate, individual films in their own universe. Like because they have Morbius and they're pushing that back and they're expanding on Venom. My thing is like, I mean, I don't know about you. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I never was a fan of Kraven the Hunter because I guess I used to watch the cartoon back in the day, and I was like, ah, man, I thought it was goofy. But if they do make it more serious and like they get a really good actor, I'm not saying Keanu Reeves. I don't know if I really see him being that character, but you never know. I mean, he's good at doing action. I was thinking more like, I know people were saying Carl Urban. They're looking at him. Fans want him, or I don't know, just I don't know, maybe, I don't know. I haven't really thought about who would be the best to play that character. But if you just get someone who's just a really good actor, and they make him really bad at, really bad dude, and really like challenging Spider-Man, I think it would be better if he was in a Spider-Man movie as opposed to getting his own film, because I just think it's unnecessary. I mean, to me, I think there's still more villains that Spider-Man should be going up against in his, like, I'd rather see Tombstone or or get Silvermane in there, or I don't know, or get the Kingpin. I'd rather see the Kingpin from the Daredevil shows in the Spider-Man movies. Like, to me, those are way more interesting villains than this guy. But he could be introduced, maybe. I think that would be cool. But I'm sure Kevin Feige, I know he was trying to get Keanu Reeves in the universe somehow. So if it's not Kraven, I mean, they'll figure something out. I mean, I once heard Al Pacino was interested in trying to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So they are attracting a lot of good actors and a lot of stars. And, I just don't think, I'm just not a big fan of him getting his own movie first. And then, I think it's just better if they introduce him and then see maybe how the reaction is, see how fans like it, or just, start off that way. And then maybe you can, if it warrants getting a solo film, maybe. But to me, that's really going to be a decision made by Sony, it sounds like. I mean, it seems like it's going to play into that, because I know they wanted to put him in a Sinister Six movie, maybe. There were rumors about that when they were trying to do that Sinister Six film, and then that didn't materialize because they didn't continue with the Amazing Spider-Man series after they rebooted everything. So, but it is nice that they're switching up. They do want to bring in another villain. I like when they try to switch stuff up, though. That is good.
Well, I guess I was gonna say on my end, it'll be, I'm kind of hesitant with all this information that we're getting on various villains that are appearing in this new Spider-Man film. If anyone can do it, based on their track record, I definitely have faith that Marvel is able to pull it off. It's just that I'm still a little uneasy just with that idea of having so many villains, because I've seen it we have seen it, even for those of you out there, we've seen it in other superhero films where we've had more than one villain in a film, when it's very clear that by having too many villains, it can sometimes overstuff the film and kind of take away from the impact of each of those villains, because there have been instances where we've had more than one villain, and in looking back on it, if we just had the one villain, it would have been perfectly fine, because they would have provided more than an adequate challenge for our hero without them getting extra added help from someone else. But with that being said, too, whether it's true or not, I'm not saying that I don't believe the story, but whether it's, as I said, taking it with the grain of salt, if it's true, if it's not true, if he's taking the role, if he's not taking the role, I feel that Keanu Reeves wouldn't be best suited for Kraven the Hunter. And don't get me wrong, I think Keanu Reeves is awesome. Like, whatever project he has, especially when it comes to action, I'm there. So in terms of like particular roles that I would love to see him in, that I think that he would be awesome in. One of them, mind you, has already been taken, which is Moon Knight. I think that he would have been an awesome Moon Knight. But who we have in the role now, Oscar Isaac, yeah. I think he will bring more than enough awesomeness to that role. So I'm excited for that. But now that role has now been claimed, I'd love to see him as Silver Surfer, perhaps, or even, I know a lot of people maybe. A lot of people have been making the rounds, just the idea of him being Ghost Rider, so like a grizzled, like weary cyclist as Ghost Rider. I feel like that would be cool.
It's funny. I thought he would actually be good as Morbius, but
I mean,
I thought he would be better as like a Morbius. I don't know about Ghost. Yeah, I don't know. It's. I mean, we'll see. But I will say that you can have a movie with several villains. Just I think it depends on how it serves the story. Because even Captain America: The Winter Soldier had several villains, but they had like little cameos. Like. Yeah, how it's done. It's really how it's done. Like if you don't develop the characters well enough, I mean, The Dark Knight had 2 villains. I mean, or and even so I mean, it really depends. I just think it's execution. It's execution. So, but I feel what you're saying. Give them cameos. You can have henchmen. You can always have henchmen. Have the henchmen just do their thing. They get knocked out. Oh, okay, whatever. That's not the main villain. That's still villains. I mean, look at Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That wasn't live action, but that had a lot of villains, and I thought that was amazing. It's the writing, and it's execution. So that's just to keep in mind, man. But yeah, I totally agree. It's like we gotta Keanu Reeves. He probably has a place somewhere in the MCU. I will say though, you also got to remember. I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of people probably will make a comparison. We'll always go back to like Heath Ledger, but it's like I never thought of Heath Ledger being a good Joker. I was like, okay, whatever. But he proved us wrong. But he's like a really, really good actor. So, I mean, I know Keanu Reeves is more of like he's pretty good. He's more of an action guy, like movie star. But we'll see. You never know. You can always, they can always prove us wrong. Some of these guys. So you never know. And I have faith in Kevin Feige. So we'll see what happens.
Okay. All right. So no, I guess what I was saying, Jerome, is what I'm picturing is for Kraven the Hunter. I picture someone who is going to create like a physical challenge for Spider-Man. So like even though I picture Kraven the Hunter having a lot, or say Keanu Reeves having a lot of these qualities that I would see for Kraven the Hunter, I still feel that even if he is not at the same strength level exactly as Spider-Man, when we see him in person visually, we still need to feel like he is an imposing, figure for Spider-Man. Because if you have like this grown man versus like, in essence, like a teenager, a kid, like you need to have that dynamic. And I don't really feel that dynamic with Keanu Reeves. As awesome as Keanu Reeves is, like, I'm picturing some of the other people that I feel that have been in the running, and I'm brain farting on his name now. He actually was in the Raimi Spider-Man films as Flash Thompson. He was also in True Blood. So if you guys want to, drop a line in the comments, I'll find his name. I feel bad that I'm brain farting his name, but I feel that he would be an awesome. He also was Slade Wilson in the Justice League.
Joe Mag.
Joe Mag. Yeah. I think he would be a terrific Kraven. So like, and I know that there's been like so much concept art and things about him possibly taking the role. I think that he would be a great figure. He's a comic head. He's a huge nerd. He loves a lot of those characters. So, I feel that he would bring a cool light or a cool element to that character for sure. All right, so switching gears, but still remaining in the world of comic book films, we actually had a look at the Joker. So let me pull it up. That made an appearance in Vanity Fair when they did a story on Vanity Fair, and basically. So let me bring it up here. Having a slight issue. Here we go. Okay, so We had a photo here that made the rounds via Vanity Fair, which gives us a look at the Joker, and I'll pull him up here by himself so you guys can see it. So it's pretty interesting. Essentially, it is a look at the Joker as he would appear in the Snyder Cut. And a lot of the things that, a lot of people had issues with in the initial rendition of the Joker, and all the tattoos and like the really on the nose phrases that he had on his tattoos are gone now. Like we almost have like a Hannibal Lecter-ish Joker here. So while I pull up the story, what are your thoughts on this new look at the Joker, Jerome?
Yeah, I mean, hey, Jared Leto, he's a great actor. I mean, look, I think it's just difficult in general. Like if you're trying to play an iconic character that's already been done well twice and it's been, progressively done better. So he was up, he was going up against a lot of competition. I think regardless of whatever he did, people are going to be hating on it, or they're going to be like, whatever, I like how he had his own interpretation. I mean, I still don't like his version better than like Heath Ledger's version, but it's a different interpretation. It's a different world. I don't really know how they're going to. I mean, I guess because the Snyder Cut is like going to be 4 hours or something. So
yeah, so
after the opportunity to put a whole bunch of characters in there. I mean, hey, whatever. I guess if it works, I don't know. We'll see. But I mean, that's cool. Add Joker in there. I'm not against that. But I don't know. To me, it's like all I care about is, does it serve the story? Like, because this is the thing. Let's be honest. Like, if you put out a movie, of course there could be politics or whatever going on with what happens with the final cut, blah blah blah. But really, in the end, it's like that's still your movie. It's like a lot of it was already done, and the script was completed, the decisions were made. So I'm wondering how much really is going to change. Of course, it's going to be more material because it's longer, but I don't know how much better really it's going to be. I mean, I'm hoping it is. I still enjoyed the original one, but obviously, I think there definitely could have been improvements. So, my thing is just how is the Joker really going to serve his purpose in this film? I mean, because obviously he's not the main threat. It's going to be.
Well, JB Jerome, I'm glad you asked, because they actually do give us an idea. So I will share the story, but first and foremost, it does go into a little bit of spoiler, so I will put the disclaimer up there. I wanted to put that up first for you guys, if you didn't want to know why he looks this way. So spoiler started now. When the spoiler is done, I will take it back down. So if you want to like unmute it or come right back, feel free. So in sharing the screen on this story, so from Vanity Fair, in their story that they had, where they have this photo, in essence, let me pull it up here. Let's see. Let me see if it's shared up here. See if you guys can see it. 1 second, guys. So I'll pull this down. So apparently for what we have here, what we're seeing is that the Joker looks this way because it's related to that kind of that nightmarish sequence that we have happening in that film. So let me hide this, and I'll bring this up. Here we go. So yes, according to the story that they have here for Vanity Fair, the reason why the Joker looks this way in the new film is during a sequence set on a ruined Earth after the alien tyrant Darkseid invades and decimates the planet. So it's a dream sequence experienced by Bruce Wayne that reveals what will happen if the superheroes fail to stop the onslaught. Joker is sort of the ghost of Christmas yet to come, supplying motivation through terror. All right, so take that as take from that what you will, but in essence, yeah, basically a nightmare sequence that, thinking back at Batman v Superman, that we get a taste to, that's what's at play with with this new look of the Joker. So I'm interested. I'm interested to see what they do with it, for sure. And I guess only time will tell. I would have to see it within the context of the project. So I'm gonna end spoilers now, guys, so you guys can unmute it, or come on back. But yeah, I guess I just would be interested to see what it would be within the context, as you said, of what it might look like, because up to this point we've never seen, like, legitly seen. Technically, we saw it. We saw an interaction between Batman and Superman, but not Batman and Superman, but Batman and Joker. But not really, if you think about it, because they weren't interacting face to face. Like, he was on the car. He wasn't really interacting directly with the Joker. So I would be interested if we're able to get that, to have that interaction between these two characters that up to this point we've been getting all of these Easter eggs and potential subplots of what their history is, but not really having them interact at all. So, and that's one of the cool things about their whole relationship, is seeing how they play off of each other. I mean, one of my favorite scenes is definitely from The Dark Knight, where it's not even an action sequence, but it's just a interrogation scene between the Joker. Yeah,
exactly.
Between the Joker and Batman, and you're getting
but that's not the same. But that ain't the same universe.
It isn't.
But that's not the same universe, though.
Yeah, I'm saying, to be fair, it isn't. But at the same time, like,
different series. That's a different series, though. Different filmmaker.
Yeah, but I mean,
no, of course. But the thing is, that was a Batman series. That was like but my other thing is, like, this is Justice League, and yeah, since they're gonna do it for 4 hours, okay, so they have more time. It's like, not focused just on Batman. It's the whole team. So we'll see. I mean, hey, I'll watch it. 4 hours. Hey, it's like it'll be it's pretty much gonna be like a mini series, basically. That's what I guess it's supposed to be. So yeah. I will wait. I'll wait and see. But it sounds like it could be. Hey, we're gonna have more dark side stuff in there. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, most of the stuff has been cool. So, like, I'm definitely looking forward to that stuff. Even if we may only get like a glimpse of it, at the top and at the end. I still want to see the big bad, so to speak. So definitely be interested.
The question is when are they gonna do that? They're gonna do that Justice League 2. Remember when is that gonna happen? That's what I want to know. So we'll see. Are they gonna reboot it?
I mean, who knows, man? Because, like, with what they're saying with this film, where it's a one-off, but it's not a one-off, and they keep going back and forth. I mean, most recently they said that it's. But I'm saying, the most up-to-date information currently, from what I understand, is that it's just going to be a one-off. But who knows? Never say never, right? If this movie ends up being widely accepted as
they get a lot of subscribers on HBO Max. If they gain a lot of subscribers, then they'll probably be like, oh. Okay.
I was gonna say, we've been in a world where we never thought we would get a Snyder Cut, and yet here we are. So never say never, right? So with that being said, I want to switch gears to our next story. So Jerome, you want to take the lead on this? I'm gonna pull up our the article with Imagine Entertainment.
Oh, we're doing that. Okay. All right. So yeah, well, basically, I keep getting my, deadline and variety feeds, and I thought this was kind of interesting how there's some of these bigger production companies are giving opportunities to emerging filmmakers and screenwriters. So Brian Grazer and Ron Howard's Imagine Entertainment, they were partnering with Impact to launch a global call to discover an emerging writer to pen a new basketball comedy. Basically, they're describing it as like a School of Rock meets Moneyball. So they're pretty much letting anybody submit, their screenplay or idea to develop it into a screenplay, basically. And they said submissions are going to be accepted up until March 7th. So basically, like, the top candidates will interview with Impact before making it to final rounds, where they will present to Imagine, who will make the hiring decision. Writers of all levels are invited to apply with a well-thought-out take on the open writing assignment and a writing sample. They said the log line for the project is when an NBA legend enrolls his superstar son at a local STEM academy, the washed-up basketball coach must team up with an enthusiastic math teacher to implement an unusual coaching system to transform a bunch of brainy misfits into a contender. So, I mean, it's. I just thought it was pretty cool that they're actually, opening it up to emerging writers because, I mean, Hollywood's a tough business. It's tough to make. It's first of all, it's just tough to write something and then to get it seen by, an agent or manager or executive, and then to even get it greenlit. You might get it greenlit, or someone might buy it, and then the next hard thing is just getting it made. So they're actually looking for someone to write this idea into the actual script and pitch it and actually like with the intention of producing it. Of course, nothing's completely guaranteed, even with anything that's in development. But I will say that this company, they have a deal with, according to the article, Impact currently has a deal with Netflix to source and develop films, and most recently they announced a deal with Skydance Television to source TV pitches, and was spun out of Imagine Entertainment after they closed a Series A financing round led by Silicon Valley firm Benchmark. So basically, they're just opening up. So it's like when I hear stuff like this, I'm like, it's great because I remember Amazon Studios, they were doing that, looking for writers at one time. I know there's I know like ABC and I think Sony and Warner Brothers, a lot of these different studios and television networks, they have programs where you can submit your films and then get into their TV directing program. And they have writing programs. I know someone who's like a finalist in one of those, and it's actually someone who launched his career. A few people launched their careers doing that. So it's just good hearing that they're giving opportunities to people. I mean, I think there should be a lot more, but it's a start. It's something. It's better than nothing. So I just thought that was interesting. And all you writers out there, hey, if you got a basketball comedy idea that could fit that log line, go ahead, submit it. I mean, I was even thinking of submitting, but I was like, I don't even really. It's not something I'm really into. But I'm like, if it makes sense for what you're writing, go ahead. It's a great opportunity. I know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, for sure. Anything that provides an opportunity to artists out there and giving them a platform to be able to leave their mark, I feel is an awesome thing. One thing that comes to mind is for those of you that that remember this series. I remember Project Greenlight. That in reading this story, that's what it comes to mind for me. And that show was so fascinating. For those of you that are like film nerds and film geeks like myself, I, even outside of the surface level element of filmmaker where you have actors and directors and writers, I enjoy all the other aspects as well. Whether it's the editing, whether it's the lighting, whether it's the the world building that you have with set designers, any of those things. So being able to kind of take a peek behind the lens, so to speak, pun intended, and see everything that comes in place in the day to day. Like it's always interesting to get an idea of the struggles and the wins that, lo and behold, our mission of Movies and Shakers Unlimited, those struggles and those wins of things that you come across in any industry that you're in, even whether it's film, whether it's any particular industry that you are a part of, and being able to appreciate a lot of those struggles, because a lot of those struggles, as we well know, make you better as a creator, make you better as an entrepreneur. Those challenges actually help shape a lot of the successes that you have. It's not necessarily the successes that help you, but a lot of those struggles that help you. And I remember one of the films that they had during Project Greenlight was a horror film. It was a horror film called, for those of you that know out there, it's called. Yeah, I had the DVD. I bought I bought the film. So like, it was.
But the question is, where are a lot of those guys now? That's what I want to know.
But I'm just saying, it was cool.
No, that show was pretty good.
I was just saying, it's just cool that they made that final product, and to also know, to be a part of that process and knowing everything that they went through to be able to create that finished product. So often we always see just the final product itself and not really understanding, the effort that went into creating just 90 minutes worth of content. Like, you're shooting something for months, weeks, months upon months, depending on how long the film is. And, all you're able to squeeze out of it is, 90 minutes or 60 minutes. And, hoping that it's something that people respond to after all of that hard work. It can be pretty daunting. So no, like this story is pretty awesome, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes of it. So I'm gonna leave the link for you guys in the comment section, because as I said, it gives you information about it and what the deadline is. But yeah, for sure, it is definitely an awesome story that I'm excited to see what comes of it. So give me a second. I'm going to.
I will say, I'll say that also. Yeah, it says on the article, for details about submitting, visit impact.net. So that's you'll see it at the bottom of the article, or if you have the.
Yeah, so I posted it for you guys so you guys can see it. So you guys can be able to take a look in the comments. I'll try. You guys can check it out there. And it has, as I said, some of the pertinent information that you need in order to be able to apply. I believe, what's the deadline on it? Is March 7th? Is that what it said?
Yeah, man, you should submit something. You're a big basketball fan. Come on, man. I know you got a basketball script. Come on.
Perhaps
come on, man. Come on, dude. Yo, Brandon.
Perhaps I have some other things going that I'm still in the process of doing also. Some other project. I will keep that close to the vest, sir.
I was thinking about you though with this. I was thinking about you. I was like, basketball comedy, Brandon, man. You probably got an idea. Anyway.
All right. So switching gears once again to our next story. The next one that we have is about Disney with their streaming service. Not unsurprisingly, they have been beating expectations with their growth and where they expected to be around this time of year. So let me pull up the story for you guys. But go ahead, Jerome, if you want to comment on it while I pull up the story.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows the behemoth of Disney Plus, and they're closing in on Netflix. I mean, that's why you're seeing all this content come out, and it's kind of great for filmmakers too. It's like, hey, they're gonna just need more content. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the numbers. It said the last quarter the numbers grew to 94.9 million subscribers. I mean, that's crazy. They said in December the platform had 86.8 million, and they grew. Wow, so that's like almost what is it, like almost like 9 million, about 9 million more.
Yeah.
And they said across all of its services, including Hulu and ESPN Plus, Disney has 146 million subscribers. So, I mean, it's crazy because the revenue that they were saying was a little bit higher than they thought, because they were able to make up for some of those losses that they would usually have, that they're having, obviously because of COVID-19, with their theme parks closed or at limited capacity, and obviously they can't make as much money with box office revenue. So it just shows like they've been pretty smart with shifting their focus, and it definitely bodes well for more quality content coming out of Disney, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. I was hearing about some other story how like there's some executives looking for some more original stuff too that Disney's trying to create and develop, in addition to obviously all their brands. So it'll be interesting to see what they're going to continue to develop and release. And this is just adding fuel to the fire, because they have the subscribers, and they're gonna, and it's just really it's and like I said, it's gonna put a lot of pressure on Netflix and on continuing to spend even more money on content that can rival. And then who knows? I mean, with HBO Max, like with their model, let's see. I mean, they're obviously not at that level either, but at either of those levels. But they're gonna keep, with their whole release of films theatrically and on the streaming platform simultaneously, is definitely trying to get them in the game. But like I said, I think in the end, this is really going to be a good thing for filmmakers and creators, because you're going to have all these people competing. Oh yeah, and I forgot Apple TV Plus. they're trying to stake their claim too. They've got tons of money. And you got to remember, some of these big tech companies is like, it's not even it's not even close to their primary revenue source. Like for Disney, this is like one of their main things, even so. It's important to them. And Netflix, it is pretty much their only revenue. I don't know how else Netflix makes money. Maybe they rent out some of their servers. Who knows? But they make money from their subscribers. And if they don't have subscribers, they're going to get screwed. So they have to spend the money. So I think in the end, it's obviously it's good for these companies. So they have another a way to stay alive if they're losing money somewhere else and you still like their content. But it's win-win for the content creators, the filmmakers. You have a lot of places now you can go to. They're in demand. They're in need of new content and acquiring projects. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. I was gonna say definitely. And give me a second because we were having a little bit of an issue with the page in and of itself. But no, like I absolutely agree with you. The thing that's been interesting, and it's funny that they actually have this particular photo up for the story. Is basically a screenshot of the the event that they had recently with a lot of their shows. What was it? Brain fart on that one too. When they had the investors. What was the investors event?
We talking about the when they showed all the new Star Wars shows and
yeah.
Talking about when they were talking about all the new.
Yeah. So when they were having that event, it's basically for better or for worse, they were basically doing a mic drop of like, look, this is all the things that we have going. And I feel like with having that strategy and being able to show all the things that are on tap, that they were able to, convince people that, listen, while we only at this time, at least at that time when they were showing it, at least at that time, we only have and it's still acting up, so I'll disregard it. But yeah, out of the story, out of variety, at least we have, even though we only have The Mandalorian happening at this current time, at this current juncture, we have a whole lineup of Marvel projects that are on the way. And even beyond the Marvel projects, we have a whole lineup of additional Star Wars related content that you guys can enjoy. And they had, shout out to them. They already had things prepared for pretty much every single one of those projects, even those that were in the early stages. They were able to, show something, which is, hat tip to them, because a lot of times when you have a studio that it's, tells you that things are in development, and those of you that are familiar with that go to Comic-Con, you guys know this as well. I'm wearing the shirt, but when we go to like a panel, a lot of times if something is in development, they typically tell us here are all the people, here are all the players. They'll bring all the ensemble and people behind the scenes on stage, but they may not necessarily have something because it's so early, and it's understandable. But to Disney's credit, like, they had something to show, whether it was certain places that they were using for set pieces, whether it was concept art, anything like that, or even just a display of a poster for the project in and of itself. So and considering what we have right now happening with WandaVision and how people are responding to it now, it's not shocking. It really is not shocking that that we're seeing this this amount of growth from Disney. So credit to them, and hopefully this momentum can continue where things can feed to each other. And the more attention and the more support that a lot of these shows can get will encourage not just Disney, but even people in other industries as well, because competition also breeds a lot of quality as well in any industry. So if people are able to get behind a lot of these, yeah, I'm saying, like, if we can continue to get,
I think that's what's key.
I'm just saying, just if we can get any of these TV shows that can continue to have kind of like this cinematic quality, like I'm I'm loving, what I'm seeing, from Mandalorian, where like it's in essence, even though it is a series, or WandaVision, even though it's a series, in essence, it's basically an extended movie. So yeah, I would love to see that from a lot of my series, and hopefully, as a lot of these series continue to progress and do well, we'll see other platforms, do that as well, and try to bring that level of quality. Mind you, I know that they don't have the resources of Disney, of course, but at least the effort, being put forth to do that. Because I mean, a good case in point is, I don't know if you've seen the trailer for.
Nah, but I still think some of these other studios, they have good resources. Just they have to want to spend the money. They have to see the value in that it makes sense. And I think it's also going to force some of those other studios to be like, yo, we gotta like we have to make sure we're putting out content at that level, even on the TV side or the stream. And now it's like maybe because who knows. I mean, there's a good chance for the rest of most of this year, it's still going to be just like last year. So that's why HBO Max I'm sure that's why HBO Max made that decision to be like, whatever, we're going to get whatever money we can, box office, and like, let's release it on HBO Max, these movies on HBO Max, and get more subscribers. Because the thing is, in the long run, you get more subscribers and you retain them. You retain them with really good content to keep coming back. That adds up. It's residual income. That's a lot of money. That's way better. It's like that's usually in the long term, that's a way better model than like just people you see your movie a few weekends and then they switch over, as opposed to like they just keep spending that money. So like it's definitely going to take time to grow with some of these businesses, but it's a good long term play. But I feel like some of these studios who don't have a streaming service that says quality, they're either going to try and maybe they might try to like it's possible they might try to buy one or maybe build their own, or who knows, maybe they'll get bought by another one, because I feel like it's going to be hard to survive if you don't have a really strong streaming service, or you're going to have to be part of some big conglomerate that's a small part of its revenue. You got to remember, like HBO Max is owned by AT&T. It's like Time Warner, all it's owned by AT&T. That's not their biggest revenue maker. It's the same with, so, and like with Apple, like, yeah, they're getting to the business, but that's not their biggest revenue maker. So they can make those, they can play around in that space. Just like Amazon. Amazon is like, I remember they had a few movies they acquired, they didn't do as well, but it's like, what in the end they're like, I was reading some articles where they're like, yeah, it was, it also helped it just helped market their brand too. So everyone's trying to get in this space, even if it's not originally where they make most of their money. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this progresses. But yeah, Disney is definitely upping the game and making, setting a new standard, I think. And I feel like, even like I said, even with Netflix, who already has been putting out some good stuff, I think they're probably going to up their game even more. So it's an exciting time in the streaming wars.
For sure, man. But with that being said, what are your guys' thoughts out there? Maybe you guys have some ideas of some things that we might see when it comes to streaming. Just drop us a line in the comments. But other than that, I want to say those are the big topics that we wanted to talk about this week. We will be back next week at the same time at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I'm your host, Brandon Troy. Of course, I have Mr. JB here, Jerome. Before we let you go, if you like this video, you want to hear more about it, be sure to like and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button so that way you can be notified whenever we have new shows, whether it's the interviews that we do, whether it's any of the panels that get covered that we participate in or had a hand in, as well as these shows, of course, and some of the series that we will be doing summaries and theories on. Is there anything you want to add, JB?
Yeah, I mean, definitely subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, Movie Shakers Unlimited on YouTube, and Movie Shakers Unlimited on Instagram, and you know, I'm at Liam Productions on Twitter, Liam Productions 21 on Instagram. Yeah, you can check out our content. Go to our website, you know, movieshakersunlimited.com. But yeah, I mean, just here hanging out on the extended weekend, and looking forward to next week.
All right, cool. So we do have, as I said just before I ended, well, we do have a show tomorrow for American Gods. Emily will be leading that. Our Pop Culture Maiden should be leading that at 6 p.m. ET, so 3 p.m. PT tomorrow. We will also, I will let you know there's an announcement coming up of an upcoming show that we will be doing summaries on, so be on the lookout for that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our Expanse video, which is now available up currently in our archives of the season finale that just happened, I believe, for season 5. But I'm happy to announce that we will be doing the same thing for the final season, the 6th and final season. Let me see what else. Other than that, as I said, on Facebook, we are on track for 4K. So be sure that road to 4K that you are able to help us out. Hit that like button. We do have our interviews over there for a lot of the live streams that we do. So those interviews, they start over there and then they make their way in the encore capacity here on YouTube. So make sure that you like it there. We just had an interview with Mr. Bill Auberge Jr. From the film The Parish that you can check out now. But of course, we have plenty of more that you can see archived there. And then also, just as we said, make sure you like and subscribe here for all of our other content for our show summaries, as well as these weekly episodes of This Week in Review. So lastly, I'm your host, Brandon Choi, host and co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. You can find us on Twitter as well. I think we dropped that, but you can find us on Twitter at Move and Shake UNLTD, on Instagram at Movers Shakers Unlimited, and of course you can find me, Brandon Choi ENT, on Twitter, and Brandon Choi _ENT on Instagram. That being said, thanks so much for watching. Be safe out there, and till next time, see you soon.